Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan, coming up in the next hour. Israel prepares to carry out an intensive West Bank operation after explosions on 3 buses close to Tel Aviv. No casualties reported. White House National Security Advisor Mike Waltz says Trump very frustrated with Zelensky. Ukraine must strike critical minerals deal. G20 foreign ministers gather in South Africa amid tensions over trade. Ukraine. India says G20's ability to harmonize viewpoints is key to advancing an agreed agenda. And Clinical India kick off ICC Champions Trophy 2025 in style. Shubman Gill's century powers the men in blue to a 6-wicket victory over Bangladesh. A top story. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has instructed the military to carry out an intensive operation in the West Bank after explosions on buses close to Tel Aviv on Thursday. There had been explosions on 3 buses in 2 Israeli suburbs outside Tel Aviv, and 4 explosive devices had been found. The explosions had occurred on buses in depots and were empty. No casualties were reported. And the military was assisting the police and Shin Bet intelligence agency in the investigation. The police said it was searching for suspects, advising the public to remain vigilant. And there was no immediate claim of responsibility for the explosions. Netanyahu met with the defense minister, head of the military and Shin Bet, and the police commissioner following the explosions. Netanyahu's office has described this incident as an attempted mass attack. And the military said it would intensify counter-terrorism operations in the West Bank and that it had blocked entry points in certain areas. The bus blasts come amid a fragile ceasefire in Gaza between Hamas and Israel after 16 months of conflict. The ceasefire has held since it was implemented on January 19 despite accusations of violations. Now, Israel demanded on Friday that Hamas return the body of Shiri Bibas, accusing the Palestinian militant group of having handed over the body of an unknown person rather than that of the hostage. 2 bodies released by Hamas had been identified as infant Kafir Bibas and his 4-year-old brother Ariel Bibas, but the 3rd body was not that of Shiri Bibas, the children's mother, whose body was also supposed to be released. The body remains unidentified. The children's father, Yarden Bibas, was released by Hamas on February 1st. Yarden, his wife Shiri and children Ariel and Kafir were seized from their home near Gaza during the October 7, 2023 attack. Baby Kafir was only 9 months old when he was kidnapped. The 4th body was identified Israeli hostage Oded Lifshitz. Lifshitz was 83 when he was abducted from Niroz, the kibbutz he helped found. His wife Yochevt, 85 at the time, was seized with him and released 2 weeks later along with another woman. Israel's National Center of Forensic Medicine, Dr. Chen Kugul, said Lifshitz had been murdered more than a year ago.
Our deepest condolences to the Lifshitz family. Today, 503 days after the October 7th massacre, the body of Mr. Lifshitz, who was murdered more than a year ago in captivity, has been identified. Since October 7th, 2023, the team of the Israel National Center of Forensic Medicine is dedicating itself to identifying all October 7th victims and thus provide closure for the families and proper burial. The employees of the Israel National Center of Forensic Medicine are continuing the identification efforts.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to eliminate Hamas, saying the 4 coffins obliged Israel to ensure more than ever that there was no repeat of the October 7 attack.
My brothers and sisters, dear citizens of Israel, on this day we are all united. We are all united in unbearable grief. Every home in Israel bows its head today. We bow our heads at the heavy loss of our 4 hostages. We all hurt in pain that is laced with rage. We all rage over the monsters of Hamas. The coffins of our loved ones oblige us, more than ever, to promise, to vow that what happened on October 7th will never happen again, ever.
And the handover marked the first return of dead bodies during the current agreement. Thursday's handover of bodies will be followed by the return of 6 living hostages on Saturday in exchange for hundreds more Palestinians. Negotiations for a second phase are expected to cover the return of around 60 remaining hostages, less than half of whom are believed to be alive, and a full withdrawal of Israeli troops from the Gaza Strip to allow an end to the conflict are expected to begin in the coming days. And Arab leaders will meet in Saudi Arabia on Friday to counter US President Donald Trump's plan for US control of Gaza. The official Saudi press agency, citing an official, confirmed on Thursday that Egypt and Jordan were participating in the Riyadh summit along with their 6 country members of the Gulf Cooperation Council, with the aim of strengthening cooperation and with regards to joint Arab action. The agency also said decisions issued by the unofficial fraternal meeting in the Saudi capital would appear on the agenda of an emergency Arab League summit to be held in Egypt on 4th March. All right, we'll go across to DD India's Akshay Dongre is joining us live from Delhi. He has more information on this. Akshay, good morning. Arab leaders will meet in Saudi Arabia on Friday to counter President Donald Trump's plan for US control of Gaza. What do we expect?
Well, we are expecting a lot of talks, a lot of negotiations as far as different views are concerned. Now there are expected to be 2 lobbies. One is that is going to be soft as far as the US proposal is concerned. The other one is going to be probably taking a harder stand. For example, countries like Iran, countries that are adversaries of the United States and Donald Trump, they are likely to take a harder stand. However, the allies of the US may try to find out a softer stance. But all of these countries are united as far as expressing their disappointment over the decision that has been taken up by Donald Trump, the statements that have been given by Donald Trump of making Gaza the Riviera of the West. So we are clearly looking at some kind of strong statements coming in from this meeting where the Arab leaders will be meeting. So because first of all, the Arab world has been accused of not doing enough to take the plight of the people of Gaza and do something about it. Second is they have also been accused of not taking in enough refugees from Gaza. Here, after such a radical plan has been announced by Donald Trump, we can clearly expect some very strong worded statements coming in and vehement opposition to the plan that has been proposed by Donald Trump of taking over Gaza and turning it into an infrastructure hub. Whereas the people of Gaza have found no plan as far as this entire infrastructure revamping plan of Donald Trump is concerned.
Right. Akshay, also 3 buses exploded near Tel Aviv in what Israeli police are saying is a suspected terror attack. Israel has ordered the military to step up its offensive across the occupied West Bank. What more details do you have?
Well, the explosions, yes, have been quite intensive in nature. Took part in the central city of Bat Yam, and fortunately, nobody has died of the consequences as far as this massive bus blast is concerned. However, this has given yet another reason for the Israeli leadership to step up offensive as far as these areas are concerned, be it Gaza or the West Bank. So we can expect, more decisions as far as taking actions against the Palestinians who are living in these areas are concerned. More intensive security operations, more intensive military operations, and security services, intelligence services also, trying to search that who exactly is to be blamed for these attacks. However, the authorities have put all the quote-unquote Palestinian terrorist organizations on scanner as far as this attack is concerned. And the question is whether there are more to come, because the kind of plan that has been proposed by Donald Trump of taking over Gaza as a whole. Then second thing is about the Saudi leaders of Arab world meeting in Saudi. So the situation remains quite fragile because we are looking at a potential possibility of another eruption of war, and that this war could be of a much larger scale if the adversaries of the US use force to oppose this decision that has been taken up by Donald Trump of turning this very, very controversial piece of property into some sort of an infrastructure tourist destination, whereas the local population has found no place in it. So clearly, we can expect some strong support coming in for the Palestinians from the Arab world.
All right, Akshay, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for your inputs. A U.S. envoy for the Ukraine conflict, Keith Kellogg, met President Volodymyr Zelensky in Kiev on Thursday. Following the meeting on the social media platform X, Zelensky said that he had a detailed and productive conversation with Kellogg about prisoners of war, effective security guarantees that would be part of any peace agreement, and the battlefield situation. Zelensky said it was crucial that both the Kellogg meeting and cooperation with Washington in general were constructive, and added the talks restore hope in terms of achieving an agreement with Washington.
General Kellogg, our talks restore hope. We need strong agreements with America, agreements that will really work. I gave instruction to work fast and very much even-handedly. Economic interest and security interest should always go hand in hand, and the details of the agreement are important. The better the details are drafted, the better the result.
Meanwhile, White House National Security Advisor Mike Waltz stated that U.S. President Trump is very frustrated with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. He says Zelensky needs to come back to the negotiating table and strike a critical minerals deal that recognizes the amount of aid the U.S. has provided the country in its fight against Russia. Earlier on Wednesday, Zelensky rejected U.S. demands for $500 billion in mineral wealth from Ukraine to repay Washington for wartime aid, saying the United States had supplied nowhere near that sum so far and offered no specific security guarantees in the agreement.
His frustration with President Zelensky is that you've heard is multifold. One, there needs to be a deep appreciation for what the American people, what the American taxpayer, what President Trump did in his first term, and what we've done since. So some of the rhetoric coming out of Kyiv, frankly, and insults to President Trump were unacceptable. He needs to come back to the table, and we're going to continue to have discussions about where that deal is going.
Further, SpaceX and Tesla boss Elon Musk lashed out at Zelensky, claiming Ukrainians despise him and supported Trump's stance on excluding him from Russia peace talks. The comments by the tech tycoon, who is leading Trump's huge U.S. government overhaul, came as the White House told Zelensky to stop insults against Trump and sign a minerals deal with Washington. Musk accused Zelensky of running a massive corruption operation fueled by the deaths of Ukrainian soldiers and claimed that Zelensky cancelled elections out of fear of losing, despite controlling all Ukrainian media. Musk also praised Trump, describing him as highly pragmatic in handling the conflict. And emphasizing the need to end the conflict, U.S. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson stated that there is no appetite for another funding bill for Ukraine.
An end to the conflict, and I can tell you that our European allies understand the necessity of this as well. It's drug on too long. By some estimates, Russia's lost almost 700,000 troops, maybe more. The Ukrainians have suffered great losses. We have to bring an end to the conflict. President Trump is exactly right. It's time for it to end, and he is the brute force, I think, that can make that happen.
All right, DD India's Anil Thomas joins us with more details on this. Good morning, Anil. Keith Kellogg's trip to Ukraine has coincided with a recent heat between Trump and Zelensky, which has been raising questions about the US's relations with Ukraine particularly. You think this trip is going to help in negotiations?
It once again reflects the weak position that Zelensky and Ukraine is in the first place. Secondly, it also, once again resurfaces the talk about a total change, especially in US-Ukraine relations. And, the relations being strained between the two nations clearly is also reflective of the fact that Russia enjoys an upper hand in the negotiations that follow from here on. And I think that doesn't leave the world order with a lot of positives to look at, because what the US says is going to be picked by many of the nations who are sitting on the fence, especially when it comes to supporting Russia or Ukraine. I think this will have a cascading effect. The way America has reacted, the way America is, clearly looking at taking, one side, really leaves Ukraine with no option but to look at, whatever is available on the table, take it and be quiet. And on the other hand, Keith Kellogg's coming clearly is once again, trying to push Ukraine to concede more and for Russia to gain more. And I think that leaves the table very much open. And Russia clearly has the upper hand in whatever discussions, whatever deliberations from here on move. Remember, we are very close to 3 years of this particular conflict between the two countries. And Ukraine wants this conflict to end pretty soon because the damage is heavy on Ukraine's side. But I think the way things are moving, Ukraine doesn't have much to choose on the table rather than take whatever is offered.
Anil, you said how America has been reacting. Trump called Zelensky a dictator, and it has deepened rift between Washington and Kiev amid Russia-Ukraine conflict. You think Trump's stunning blow to Kiev amid frustration with Zelensky gives Russia an edge in peace talks?
Well, one needs to look at what Trump said. Trump said Ukraine started the war. If one takes a look at the timeline of this particular war, I don't believe so. This is a conflict between the two nations that began way back in 2014. 2022 is just where it escalated to a new level, where the world took notice because global supply chains got hit. That's when the world took notice of this particular conflict. It's been on for long. Let's also look at the numbers purely in terms of how things have panned out. Close to 8 million people have left Ukraine. Close to 4.5 million people inside Ukraine are displaced. And in terms of casualty too, I think Ukraine has much to lose in this entire conflict. And the way things stand, calling Zelensky a dictator, for the simple reason, I think, Trump has been driven by the fact that there have not been elections. Elections were due in Ukraine, which have not taken place. And a person who is not being elected by the people is a fair assumption of calling Zelensky a dictator. But having said all this, we still believe that Ukraine has much to lose in this, because Ukraine is not part of the negotiations that Russia and the US had in Saudi Arabia. And when Ukraine is out of the table, Ukraine is generally being informed about the decisions being taken and Ukraine being taken along. And I think the European Union, Ukraine in particular, also UK feeling the heat when it comes to the entire European Union being kept out of it. I think the only concession that Ukraine might be looking to get, whatever Ukraine is looking to get, nothing is possible. NATO membership, US has clearly said no. Ukraine asking for 2014, all that Russia has annexed to be given back, that's almost 20% of Ukraine land. That's off the table. I think the only thing that Ukraine could be looking is maybe getting a European Union membership. And if that too, Russia and US agree on that same line, I think not much to choose. Ukraine is on the losing end, and I think this particular deliberations, the way it is going, Ukraine has more to lose. As I said again, Ukraine has more to lose, but Ukraine would be hoping against hope because they have lost much. They can't afford to lose more, and they go to look at an end to this conflict so that people can come back and maybe look at elections maybe 6 to 8 months down the line.
We'll wait and see what happens next. We'll leave it at that. Thank you for your input, Anil. Defence Secretary John Healey and his Norwegian counterpart Tor Sandvik visited the British Royal Fleet auxiliary ship Proteus docked in Bodo, Norway on Thursday. They met with Army and Royal Marine commandos during their visit. Healey's Norway visit comes days after Russia and the United States held their first talks on ending the conflict in Ukraine. Ukraine and European governments were not invited in the Saudi capital, which magnified their concern that Russia and the United States might cut a deal that ignores their vital security interest. Still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Senate confirms Kash Patel as FBI chief amid partisan divisions and controversy. And we'll tell you all about Germany's national election on February 23rd.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. US President Donald Trump is gearing up for a significant week of diplomacy with meetings scheduled with two key European leaders. On Monday, he'll host French President Emmanuel Macron at the White House to discuss bilateral relations and global politics. This meeting is expected to cover a range of issues in maintaining strong alliances. Later in the week, on Thursday, on Friday, President Trump will meet with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. And speaking on his upcoming visit to Washington, D.C., French President Emmanuel Macron expressed that while it's important for Europe to stay close to the U.S., Europe also needs more independence.
We must keep the American alive with us, the Europeans. We all want it, but we need greater autonomy, independence of the Europeans. Donald Trump creating uncertainty for Vladimir Putin is a very good thing for us, and that's also what's happening. We have to succeed in somehow structuring what's going to come next, a solid and lasting peace plan. I'm going to tell US President Donald Trump that he can't be weak in the face of Russian President Putin. It's not you, it's not what you are made of.
La Russie aurait le droit d'envahir l'Ukraine.
Argentina's President Javier Milei kicked off his US visit on February 20th by gifting a chainsaw to Tesla CEO Elon Musk. Milei gave the chainsaw to Musk during a meeting ahead of Musk's appearance at the Conservative Political Action Conference in Washington, D.C. US President Donald Trump has appointed Musk to lead a new Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, which has streamlined federal agencies, cutting thousands of jobs and dismantling programs mirroring Milei's budget cuts in Argentina. After CPAC, Milei arrived at the IMF in Washington, D.C., where he is set to meet with Trump and the IMF head. And US President Donald Trump on Thursday hosted a Black History Month reception at the White House and was joined by American top-ranked golfer Tiger Woods. After receiving a standing ovation from the attendees, Woods took the floor and said he was honored to accompany the newly appointed president. Trump praised generations of black legends, champions, warriors and patriots that have been part of American history and announced the creation of a statue garden for American heroes.
Special time. It's Black History Month. We love you all. We're going to work with you. We're going to make America greater than ever before. We're going to do it together. And I want to thank you all for being here. It's an incredible honor.
Now, the US Senate has confirmed Kash Patel as the new FBI chief, putting President Trump's pick in charge of the country's top law enforcement agency. Indian-American Kash Patel was confirmed by a 51-49 vote on Thursday. The vote was split along party lines, with two Republicans, Senator Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, voting against Patel's confirmation. They expressed concerns about his past political advocacy for Trump and its potential impact on FBI's law enforcement activities. Republican supporters, however, argued that he would reform an agency which has faced declining public trust in recent years. Democrats had opposed Patel's nomination, saying he would seek retribution against Trump's enemies. Patel has denied any plans to pursue political vendettas. And the US Department of Justice has dropped its case against Elon Musk's SpaceX, which was accused of refusing to hire certain immigrants. The case filed during the Biden administration alleged SpaceX systematically discouraged asylum seekers and refugees from applying between 2018 and 2022. But SpaceX fought back, arguing export control laws restricted hiring to US citizens and legal residents. A legal battle ensued, with a judge temporarily pausing the case. Now, in a stunning reversal, the DOJ is dismissing it with prejudice, ensuring it won't return. The decision comes as Musk, a close Trump advisor, leads efforts to cut government waste. Both Musk and Trump have long criticized federal agencies' regulatory power. And as Germany heads to national election on February 23rd, we take a look at Bundestag, which is a German federal parliament.
Germany is all set for crucial federal elections on February 23 to elect its next chancellor. These snap polls were called by the Chancellor Olaf Scholz when his coalition government fell apart last year. Let's understand the parliament structure in this report. The German Bundestag, the national parliament of the Federal Republic of Germany, stands as a cornerstone of democratic governance. Its seat is the Reichstag building in Berlin. Rooted in history and evolving through time, it plays a crucial role in shaping the laws and policies of the nation. Established post-World War II, the Bundestag embodies Germany's commitment to democratic principles, transparency, and public engagement. The Bundestag's origins trace back to 1949, following the establishment of the Federal Republic of Germany. It succeeded the Reichstag, which was dissolved during the Nazi regime. The post-war period saw the formation of a new democratic system with the Bundestag as its legislative heart. In the current electoral term, Parliament is composed of 733 members. This is the 20th electoral term since the establishment of the Federal Republic in 1949. The President of the Bundestag holds the second highest office of state in Germany after the Federal President. Biabu Bias has been President of the Bundestag since October 2021. The number of seats a party has in the Bundestag depends on its results in the elections. The more votes a party gets in the Bundestag elections, the more seats it gets. Elections are generally held every 4 years. The last election was in autumn 2021. Voters will have two decisions to make. Their first vote determines their choice of constituency candidate, with the candidate who wins the most votes being elected, regardless of how his or her party performs overall. These constituency seats ensure that every region in Germany is represented in the Bundestag. With their second vote, voters determine the relative strengths of the parties in the Bundestag. The second vote is therefore the decisive vote, as it dictates which parliamentary group or coalition of parties will have a majority, allowing them to elect their preferred candidate as federal chancellor. If a party fails to meet the requirement of receiving more than 5% of all votes cast nationwide, also known as the 5% clause, it is not represented in the Bundestag, unless the party has won at least 3 constituency seats, in which case it is taken into account in the distribution of seats to the party's lists in the individual Länder. The German Bundestag exemplifies the nation's dedication to democratic values and effective governance. As a dynamic institution, it continues to adapt and respond to contemporary challenges while upholding the principles of representation, accountability, and public service. Bureau Report, DD India.
Let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Peru declares state of emergency for 157 districts for 60 days after intense rains caused floods and collapsed houses nationwide. Heavy rains have led to the collapse of houses, leaving many without shelter, and have also caused damage to crops and infrastructure. Several attacks between Wednesday and Thursday caused terror among the locals of Cucuta in a new episode of violence in northeastern Colombia. The attacks targeted police infrastructure, explosive charges and rifle blasts were detonated. Authorities confirm at least 6 people were injured in the attacks. Hundreds of people laid flowers and held a minute's silence during a commemoration for the victims of last week's ramming attack in Munich. At least 1 person died and 39 others were injured when the car plowed into worthy trade union activists demonstrating for higher pay. The attack brought security issues back into focus ahead of Germany's federal election on February 23rd. Still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate first edition of the Sole Leadership Conclave in Delhi. Bhutan PM sharing top gear to deliver a keynote address as the guest of honor. And External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar meets South African President Ramaphosa at G20, reiterates India's support.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Israel prepares to carry out an intensive West Bank operation after explosions on 3 buses close to Tel Aviv. No casualties reported. White House National Security Advisor Mike Waltz says Trump very frustrated with Zelensky. Ukraine must strike critical minerals deal. G20 foreign ministers gather in South Africa amid tensions over trade. Ukraine. India says G20's ability to harmonize viewpoints is key to advancing an agreed agenda. The foreign ministers from the G20 top economies met in South Africa on Thursday amid tensions over Ukraine conflict and trade disputes. South Africa is seeing the first G20 meeting on the continent as an opportunity to amplify concerns of the poorer countries, including worsening inequality, inadequate action on climate change, and a financial system that favors investment banks over poor sovereign debtors. Notably, the United States skipped the summit, with Washington's top diplomat saying staying away owing to diplomatic tensions with the host. Rubio's boycott came amid dispute with South Africa on land ownership reform. The gathering takes place and Trump's efforts to broker peace in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, marking a shift in US policy. And India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, who is in South Africa for the G20 foreign ministers, spoke at the session on global geopolitical situation. In his speech, the minister highlighted that the global geopolitical situation remains difficult, as G20's ability to harmonize viewpoints is key to advancing an agreed agenda. He presented India's position on the Middle East, maritime security, Ukraine conflict, Indo-Pacific and UN reforms. The minister stressed that geopolitics is a reality, as is national interest, adding that the very purpose of diplomacy and a group like G20 is to find common ground and create the basis for collaboration. Further, EAM Dr. Jaishankar noted that there are lessons from the last few years for everyone to reflect on, but equally an experience to draw upon as we seek to lead the world to a better place. Meanwhile, on the margins of the G20 foreign ministers meeting, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar called on South African President Cyril Ramaphosa and conveyed the warm greetings of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. In a social media post, the minister said he was honoured to call on President Cyril Ramaphosa and assured India's support for South Africa's G20 priorities. Earlier, the minister also met his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov in Johannesburg. The leaders reviewed the continued progress of India-Russia bilateral cooperation and discussed recent developments pertaining to the Ukraine conflict, including his Riyadh meeting. Both the leaders agreed to remain in touch. Now, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the first edition of the Seoul Leadership Conclave at Bharat Mandapam, New Delhi on Friday. The two-day Seoul Leadership Conclave will serve as a premier platform where leaders from diverse domains will share their inspiring life journeys and discuss aspects relating to leadership. School of Ultimate Leadership, which is Seoul, is an upcoming leadership institution in Gujarat to enable authentic leaders to advance the public good. The aim is to broaden the landscape of political leadership in India to formal training and to include those who rise through merit, commitment and passion for public service and not just from political lineage. Seoul brings insights, skills and expertise necessary to navigate the complex challenges of leadership in today's world. And Bhutanese Prime Minister Tshering Topkay arrived in national capital for the conclave. He will be delivering the keynote address as the guest of honor. India's Senior Minister Pabitra Margarita personally welcomed Topkay, highlighting the strong India-Bhutan friendship. Now, February 21st is observed as International Mother Language Day, celebrating linguistic diversity and promoting the preservation of mother tongues worldwide. In a multilingual country like India, languages are not just a means of communication but a reflection of our rich cultural heritage. Here's a report by DD India correspondent Kriti Vadhera.
International Mother Language Day, we discussed the importance of multilingualism in context of New Education Policy 2020. And to discuss on the same, I have with us Professor R. Meghanathan. I welcome you on DD India, and he's expert in the field. Professor Meghanathan, India is a diverse country with so many regional languages, and at the same time, we want English also in our education system. So, do you really feel that new education policy can make a balance between both?
That's what the policy lays emphasis on, creating multilinguals, meaning you begin with your language. And English language now is being introduced from class 1 in all the states, which the policy understands, recognizes. So English language here is to stay. And also learning of other Indian languages. So it liberates the language in education policy known as 3-language formula, which comes into effect from class 6. But during the foundational stage and the formative years of learning, from early childhood to class 5, it promotes the mother tongue and the other languages, which is ultimately English is another language and the state language.
So for a diverse country like India, what are the key challenges you must have faced in implementing NEP 2020 in terms of multilingualism?
This policy rightly recognizes and understands and underscores the enormous diversity of this country. Now the Government of India, Ministry of Education, through NCERT and Central Institute of Indian Languages, Mysuru, we have brought out the primers. This is the first book. And let me tell you, on record, many languages, more than 50-60 languages are seeing for the first time documentation and print. They are spoken by people, they are languages. But now, the next step is to bring these languages into school. And I tell you, as a linguist and an educator, the only way to preserve and protect our languages, like minor tribal languages and endangered languages, is to bring them into school curriculum. What is to be done is create resources in the Indian languages, particularly in the tribal minority languages, so that children, learners, parents and the communities gain confidence to use it and learn the languages.
Absolutely. And indeed, multilingualism is the strength of India, and New Education Policy 2020 is nurturing it further. Thank you, Professor R. Meghanathan, for giving your valuable insights on this crucial topic. This was Kriti Vadhera with camera person Yogesh for DD India.
And first time MLA Rekha Gupta took oath as Delhi Chief Minister at the historic Ramlila ground on Thursday after Bharatiya Janata Party returned to power in the national capital after over 27 years. The grand ceremony was attended by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Home Minister Amit Shah, Chief Ministers and Deputy Chief Ministers of 20 states and other senior BJP leaders and workers. Besides Rekha Gupta, 6 newly elected MLAs also took oath as members of the new Council of Ministers. Here's more in this report.
मैं रेखा गुप्ता ईश्वर की शपथ लेती हूँ कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगी.
After a long gap of 27 years, Delhi finally got a Bharatiya Janata Party government at India's national capital Delhi as Rekha Gupta took oath as Chief Minister on Thursday. The newly elected BJP leader who won her maiden MLA seat from Shalimar Bagh took oath in a grand ceremony at the national capital attended by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Chief Ministers and Deputy Chief Ministers from 20 states as well as senior BJP leaders and workers. Apart from Rekha Gupta, 6 newly elected MLAs were sworn in as ministers of Delhi. BJP's Pravesh Sahib Singh, Ashish Sood, Manjinder Singh Sirsa, Ravinder Indraj Singh, Kapil Mishra and Pankaj Kumar Singh took oath as ministers in Chief Minister Rekha Gupta-led Delhi government.
भारत सरकार के साथ मिलकर उनकी सारी योजनाओं को, विजन को दिल्ली में लेकर आना और सारी जनता के जितने भी हमने वायदे किए सबको पूरा करना.
Hours after taking the oath, Chief Minister Rekha Gupta officially assumed charge at the Delhi Secretariat. She then visited Vasudev Ghat and Yamuna Bazar before heading to chair her first cabinet meeting.
जो मिशन विकसित दिल्ली का है उसको पूरा करने के लिए लगातार काम किया जाएगा. एक भी दिन उसमें से व्यर्थ नहीं होगा और एक एक कमिटमेंट जो हमारी दिल्ली से है उसे पूरा करेंगे.
Meanwhile, wishes have been pouring in for the newly elected Chief Minister. Taking to social media platform X, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, "Congratulations to Rekha Gupta ji on taking oath as Delhi's Chief Minister. She has risen from the grassroots, being active in campus politics, state organisation, municipal administration and now MLA as well as Chief Minister. I am confident she will work for Delhi's development with full vigour. My best wishes to her for a fruitful tenure." While leaders from across the political spectrum have extended their greetings to Rekha Gupta as she takes on the responsibility of leading Delhi. With a fresh cabinet in place, all eyes will now be on the new government's policies and governance strategy. It remains to be seen how the Rekha Gupta-led administration shapes the future of the national capital. Bureau Report, DD India.
Now, Panama has informed India about the safe arrival of a group of Indians deported from the US, and the Indian mission in the country is working closely with the host government to ensure their well-being after obtaining consular access to them. The Indian embassy in Panama, Costa Rica and Nicaragua took to X on Thursday to share the information but did not provide data on the number of Indians arriving in Panama. The group of Indians is part of a larger group of 299 migrants sent to Panama by the US government. The embassy's communication comes a day after the deportees in the Panama hotel rooms held messages to the windows reading "Help." The deportees, who were sent back after President Donald Trump launched a drive to deport illegal immigrants, were not allowed to leave as the Panamanian government is waiting for international authorities to organize a return to their countries. Let's now take a look at other stories making news. Anantnag district in Jammu and Kashmir received a fresh spell of snowfall. The Met Centre of Srinagar, in a post on social media, predicted rain or snow at many places between February 26 and 28. The fresh snowfall has delighted tourists visiting the region as well as local tourism operators and orchidists. The Department of Wildlife Protection has launched the annual Asian waterbird census across Kashmir's wetlands. The initiative aimed at monitoring the population of migratory birds and assessing the ecological health of the valley's wetlands. It holds great significance for understanding the status of wetlands, which serve as crucial wintering ground for lakhs of migratory birds. The revered Mahakaleshwar temple in Ujjain, Madhya Pradesh is gearing up for the grand celebration of Mahashivratri. Jyotirling will adorn Shiva's different forms throughout these 11 days leading to Mahashivratri on February 26th. The temple committee has made special arrangements for the worship material used during the 11-day-long festival. All right, still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Vieri Lehka knocks off top seed Spaniard Carlos Alcaraz to advance to the semi-finals of Qatar Open. Flying cars take a step closer to reality as Aleph Aeronautics unveils first public sortie video.
Timeless, boundless and infinite, the essence of faith, the soul of Sanatan culture, from the sacred confluence of Prayag, where divinity descends to earth. Witness the grandeur, the devotion, the magic, world's largest cultural and spiritual gathering, with over 450 million devotees expected to attend. Mahakumbh, India's greatest festival of faith. Exclusively on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Sports updates now. We'll start with cricket. India began their Champions Trophy campaign on a positive note as they beat Bangladesh by 6 wickets in their opening match in Dubai on Thursday. Batting first, Bangladesh's Tawhid Hridoy slammed his maiden century to guide his team to 228 runs. Hridoy combined with Jekar Ali for a 154-run partnership to rescue Bangladesh from dire straits. Meanwhile, Mohammad Shami got a 5-wicket haul for India in the first innings. With this, Shami became the fastest Indian to take 200 wickets in ODIs. While batting, Shubman Gill showed just why he is the world #1 ODI batter in the world. After scoring a fighting century of 125 balls to guide India's chase of 229 runs, India lost wickets in quick succession in the middle overs, but Gill's brilliant century along with KL Rahul's steady play helped the men in blue get the target with 21 balls still to go. All right, we'll go across to DD India's Narayan Singh. Narayan, good morning. Great start to the Champions Trophy for India. If Rohit had not dropped that catch when Bangladesh were 35 for 5, the win could have come a little early.
Good morning, Abhishek. You said a fantastic start, and we can say the perfect lung opener for the Indian team, the way started the tournament. And because this win was important, because it will act as a morale booster for them, because the second match is against Pakistan. So we can say that the way you mentioned, Rohit just dropped the catch. Otherwise, we can see it would have been an easy win for the India, because important catches were missed, one by Hardik Pandya, one by Rohit Sharma, but we can call it a blessing in disguise, because it has also tested the Indian batting lineup, and also towards the end, how can they approach the game towards the start of the match, the way Mohammad Shami gave a good impetus to the Indian innings, and towards the end, it was looking like that, the way Zakir Ali and Hridoy was playing, it was looking like the score could be around 260 or 270. But towards the end, the kind of display, the attacking display Mohammad Shami displayed, definitely it shows that it's the best in the business. And we were talking about the way Jasprit Bumrah was not there, how the Indian pace battery will just approach the match. But he showed that, not only talented, and also we can say that's the love affair between the ICC tournaments and the Mohammad Shami. In the 19 ICC tournament matches, including the World Cup and this ICC Champions Trophy, he has 5 wicket hauls in the ICC tournament. And if you take a look at the other batsmen in the league, in their entire life, they would have 3 or 4. So it shows the caliber of the Mohammad Shami, what kind of bowler he is. So definitely he filled the big shoes of Jasprit Bumrah, and we know that what kind of bowler Jasprit Bumrah is in the world right now. Even the conditions are not favoring the bowlers in that conditions. Also, he is capable to take the wickets. So it didn't look like that we missed Jasprit Bumrah yesterday, but it's a good thing for the India. And towards the end, the way our batsmen performed, initially Rohit Sharma gave a quick start to the Indian team. And the most important thing, I think, Shubman Gill coming there and scoring 100 and not out till the last ball, he was there. It's a big sign, it's a good thing that the star cricketers, star batters are coming in the form, our bowlers are coming in the form. So everything is on track for the Indian team, and definitely Pakistan will be backfoot when the Indian team will
right. Narayan, very quickly, a big match against Pakistan on Sunday. On paper, India look a better side, but a do-or-die game for Pakistan. They'll go all guns blazing.
Definitely a big game. They are hosting the tournament, international tournament, ICC tournament, after a gap of 30 years. And pressure is already on them after losing the first match. Second match is against India. And we also know that India's record against Pakistan in the ICC tournaments. And the best thing is that India, already by winning the first match in Dubai, they came to know the conditions here better. And because we know that at this time of the year, playing in Dubai, it's difficult for any team. And yesterday also we saw that the wicket was quite tricky and playing in the different parts of the game in a different way. So it is good thing for the India, the way they played here. And we know that the way they started at one point of time, it was also looking tricky for the Indian team also. But we know that the potential of the Indian batsmen too, the way Shubman Gill played here. And so all in all, we can say that definitely Pakistan will be on back foot and will be in the pressure. India will be on the lighter side of the game, already winning their first match. So, but we can't take any match lightly here. We know that's a short tournament, 15 matches, 8 teams. So no margin of error for any team here.
All right, Narayan, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for your inputs. After claiming a historic ODI series win over South Africa in September last year, Afghanistan is now ready to start its Champions Trophy campaign against the Proteas in Karachi on Friday. Afghanistan head into the contest after a 2-0 series win against Zimbabwe in December last year. South Africa, on the other hand, lost both their games in the recently concluded tri-series involving Pakistan and New Zealand, and also suffered a 0-3 loss against Pakistan at home last December. While South Africa is the odds-on favourite heading into the clash, the Afghans are more than capable of pulling off an upset in this Group B opener. The two sides have faced each other in ODIs on 5 occasions, with the Proteas winning 3 matches and the Afghans securing 2 victories. Tennis now. Yeri Leheka knocked off top seed Spaniard Carlos Alcaraz on Thursday to advance to the semi-finals of the Qatar Open in Doha. The 23-year-old Czech trailed 4-2 in the third set before rallying to win 6-3, 3-6, 6-4. Leheka struck 8 aces and converted 4 of 8 break chances to secure the first top 3 win of his career. Leheka will next face 8th seed Jack Draper of Great Britain, who rallied past Italy's Matteo Berrettini 4-6, 6-4, 6-3. And the human endeavour to meet the challenges of daily lives has led man to invent many things, be it electronic gadgets or the aeroplane. The man imagined it first and then put his skills to realize the dream. Just like airplanes, many other inventions have been born from human creativity, all reflecting our constant quest to overcome limitations and improve our lives.
Millions across the globe have watched this in a movie, but the visuals unfolding on your screen are from a real sortie of a flying car. The concept has been depicted in so many spy thrillers and sci-fi blockbusters. Now, a California-based company has released videos showing their flying car taking off vertically and traveling over a parked truck. Aleph Aeronautics released the clip of an ultralight version of the Aleph Model 0, a first publicly released video of a car driving and taking off vertically. The company believes it is one step closer to making the future a reality.
We really hope that it will be will have a similar impact as the Wright brothers video, in a sense that it proves to the humanity that the new mode of transportation is possible. It has the independently verifiable proof that that this new mode of transportation does work and does exist, and we hope it will start some kind of a new market, new economy for this new mode of transportations, which we call flying cars.
But the prospect of watching flying cars in your urban skylines are a little far away for now. In absence of a mass production line, these machines would be prohibitively expensive. The concept is still at a nascent stage, and nobody wants to hazard a guess when it will become a reality.
It's hard to estimate when as far as the exact year, but I think it's going to be a very, very gradual process.
So for now, thoughts of evading a traffic jam or long queues at the red light might be a distant reality. But the beginning of a very long, complex journey might have already begun. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.